Yeah, no, you're good. Well, you guys have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And
Appreciate it.
yeah, and I thought I'd come over and make sure you didn't had water and
Good thing.
make sure you had my number in case you never know. So,
Okay, if anyone can give me a video and audio check, I'd appreciate it.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
this is my weekly live
Oh,
stream.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
This is Hard Rock University. There's Honey Bunny. She's in Arkansas.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyone got a audio check, a video check? There's quite a delay on YouTube. Nice landslide, huh? Well, I don't know about the term nice when it applies to a landslide, but yeah, the neighbor's over here. He was just getting ready to head off and needed to check the water because he had to shut his water off. A good thing, too, because otherwise we would have been out of water because it's a little complicated. The water system here is anything but ideal.
Yeah, it's a little different.
But anyhow, so that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, Joel, thanks for coming over. And
yeah.
I said I got your number in case something happens.
Yep.
All right.
Merry Christmas to y'all, and we'll Happy New Year.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Yeah, take care. See
Take
ya.
care. Well, hopefully we'll have another visitor in the not too distant future. We ran into a guy today over at the Silver Store. He's a local. He's been watching my channel. He recognized me. And so we chatted for a bit and everything, and everyone kind of sees the world the same way, and he knows a lot of stuff locally. But he's got an interesting situation where he's got, as I recall, a silver mineral in placer that is shiny, but it is silver colored. Hello, Michael. Yep. But anyhow, as far as I know, there's only a couple of things that can be shiny silver metallic stuff in placer. You could have electrum or platinum or some other platinum group. But no, he said it looks like gold and it acts like gold. Galena is it's clearly got cubic faces and stuff like that. Yeah, like native wire silver, except it's shiny silver, according to him. Now, native wire silver generally wouldn't be that shiny. So anyhow, I told him to bring some on by sometime, so he's got my phone number, and bring some on by and we'll play some games with it and see if we can figure it out. So that would be kind of cool. And yeah, we wanted to buy a little more silver before the price goes totally asymptotic. In terms of silver, it's got the potential to go totally crazy because it's been so oversold in paper silver. So, yeah, this guy, I think, knows enough that he would have recognized galena. He's familiar with some of the silver minerals and stuff. So my guess is it's probably electrum, unless the description wasn't terribly accurate. But hopefully he'll call me up sometime soon, and we'll get together on that and make a video on it, see what the heck it is. Yeah, but silver bearing lead would still tarnish. That's the sort of thing you'd expect to see a tarnish on it if it was anything but gold or platinum group alloy of some sort. I'm also theoretically going to be getting some new samples here soon down south. Apparently they have figured out some method of sending them, and could be like 30 pounds per package or something. So that should be pretty good because I've really run out of the, I'll call it higher grade, but it's the sulfides from the sulfide enriched material from the heavies line below the gold line. And yeah, we also have tin, native tin around here. And again, I would think it would also be pretty well tarnished. So that was pretty interesting. But it's awfully hard for me to do testing with samples that have a lower grade than the used Eco Gold X solution I'm trying to use to test it. So, no, cheaply as in not having to fly it back and forth. And another thing, they've been having problems. They put it in their luggage and then customs steals it. You know, they say, no, you can't take that. So that's been a problem. This week, I got results back from various samples I sent out. It appears that I can load the resin to about 1% before it starts slowing down. But we'll do some more testing on that. But in about 24 hours, we're getting the solution down to a couple of parts per million when I'm getting a loading factor of about 1% on the resin. Okay. Right now, what I'm trying to test is reusing the Eco Gold X solutions. Hey, wage slave. But it's we need to be able to reuse a solution for efficiency. But we need to see if we can reuse the solution effectively. So that's what I'm doing. In terms of silver chips, wage slave, I don't think this was a drainage that was big enough for boats. And I think the amount was too much. Boat propellers sure can. But anyhow, so I'm focusing on reusing the Eco Gold X and finding out how much resin do we need to put in and how much. Now, 1% is a lot lower. Hey, Red Wing, 1% loading on the resin is a lot lower than the manufacturer will tell you. They'll tell you it'll load 10%, and it very well might, under ideal conditions, under unlimited time. In real world constraints, it's going to be less than that. I've loaded stuff in a column that was running around 3%, but it was running solution through it for a long time, you know. So tin is resistant to tarnishing, huh? Interesting. I bet you it'll also dissolve real easily in nitric acid. But anyhow, so this seems to be a more realistic loading factor. Now, at that loading factor, the gold value is still more than 20 times the resin value. The resin is less than 5%. Dollar-wise, the actual gold value. I think it was like $50 to $1,400 ratio I was looking at in particular. I think that was like 1 kilogram. Okay. 17% is a maximum then? I don't know where you saw 17%. I've heard of 10% before. I've never heard 17. But yeah, I would say any factory specification tends to be ideal conditions normally. I mean, just kind of anything. You know, the throughput of a jaw crusher. It'll do up to 500 tons an hour. Yeah, it will. What does it normally do under my particular materials? Probably half or less of that if it's hard material. Okay. But this looks to be about where we're heading from the real practical application. We shall see when we actually get into the field work with the actual stuff. In terms of reusing the Eco Goldex, we're consuming like a quarter of what we put in there. Okay. Oh, that's 1%. There we go. um, but we should be able to replenish the solution a whole lot cheaper than replacing it, and that way we don't have to get rid of the old stuff either. That sounds interesting, Michael. Um, could you just email me, um, just for a contact so I could chat with you privately on a couple of things? I would appreciate it. Do you have my email? Because I'd like to learn what you know about the CLS leaches, what they can do and can't do from a practical standpoint. I should be getting into the thiosulfate leaches, later on this winter. Um, I still got to get those guys running at speed first of it. Anyhow, um, they finally sent me a picture of their mini Molino, actually a video, but it wasn't running, so it basically just gave me different views. But it was kind of an interesting device. Uh, Basically, had a rectangular frame, side view here. It had pivot point here and here. Had a drive here, and I'm not sure exactly how, but I'm driven. So this frame can rotate on this axis. Then they had cylinder. This is a lid that can be clamped on. And this cylinder can be rotated up to where it's horizontal, then secured in place. And so by doing that, they have a ball mill. It's basically a batch device, which is ideal for what I intend to use it for. But basically, you load your charge in there, you secure the lid, rotate it 90 degrees, secure it in place, and then spin the whole frame. And then when you're done, you can open the lid, dump it out, and redo the next one. Exactly, Michael. That's why I say it would be nice to get a little ideas what I can do without having to pay that $150 for each one. I'd like to find out how they work first, and then I can get their recipes and such. This is an interesting concept. I've never seen that before. It's a very poor design for a continuous flow, but a very good design for a batch process. And that's what we're going to be doing is a batch process. The idea is we'll put hydrogen peroxide plus sulfides here. Bring it up. Roll it for, I don't know how long. I'm guessing about 2 hours. Should be plenty. But I'm also using the time I have used to use the hydrogen peroxide to digest things. The idea is put that charge in there, run it for a couple hours, then add a little lime both to adjust the pH and to eliminate the rest of the hydrogen peroxide, and then dump it out into a cement mixer and go ahead and do that. Now you could probably take this same thing here, get the balls out of it, and use that if you wanted to. Put the stuff in it. We're planning on doing about 2 hours of this, and about 48 hours of the Eco Goldex Elite. And then about 24 hours resin bulk. At the moment, that's the tentative plan, which we will then no doubt adjust as time goes on. One thing here, we're going to have to put a vent on this mill here. Okay. I'm thinking just torch a hole in the lid. It's a 1/2-inch plate for a lid. Torch a hole in there. Put a ball valve for now. Because when you put the hydrogen peroxide and the sulfides in there, it's going to start generating oxygen. And it bubbles, it effervesces. If it doesn't generate too much gas to where it becomes highly pressurized vessel, a moderate pressure would actually be good, because pressure oxidation with oxygen would really speed things up. You know, it could be quite beneficial, but it could also turn it into a bomb under certain circumstances. So, probably need to put a vent there, and then go ahead and use a small batch first. See how much, run it for a little bit. See how much of it. Actually, don't even do that. Just put it in the bottom there, stir it, close it up, and see how much it's venting, how fast, etc., etc. It may be we can just throw the stuff in there, seal it up, run it for 2 hours, open it up, and we'll just be dumping a little pressure to equalize it. I do not know, but we'll have to find that out. But pressure oxidation is not a bad idea. It also is likely to generate a little bit of heat here, as long as, again, it doesn't get out of control. As long as it doesn't get into a thermal runaway, that could be beneficial. I don't see any kind of a huge roadblock there, but it is something to be cautious about. By adding lime, after this is done, we will adjust the pH and finish breaking down the hydrogen peroxide so that it won't attack the Eco Goldex. Cool, honey bunny. But anyhow, this is our current concept. And so I need to know how much hydrogen peroxide per how much sulfides, how long it takes to react. With this, with balls in it, it's going to be beating those sulfides up into a finer powder, which is going to make the reaction faster It will also make the abrasion with the resin later on less, and it should speed up the leaching process also. So this ball mill will come in real handy for that. That's our current plan there. And the idea would be to use as little liquid in this stage as possible, because we're going to be destroying the Eco Goldex. So we don't want to use any more leaching solution than we have to get good wetting and working in there. And then when it's done, we can just add Eco Goldex to the add more solution, use solution, and then more Eco Goldex to that to get us to what we think is an optimal leaching concentration. Current testing indicates the more Eco Goldex, the faster it leaches. Okay? So we'll see. Currently, the amount of Eco Goldex is extremely high that I've been using. That was initially because we thought we had a lot of gold. Right now, it's because I've actually observed the kinetics. But we're talking 10 to 20 times the normal recommended amount. Okay? Now, how important that is, I don't know. There may be other ways of speeding up the kinetics. I'd like to go, of course, the less Eco Goldex we use, the cheaper it's going to be. Also, the less potential hazard and or hazardous disposal. It would be nice to have something that's pretty well balanced, so you're not generating a bunch of waste material at that end. At least liquid. I mean, solids you can just stack up. Liquids, yeah, it's a little more complicated to store them for extended periods. But that's what we're trying to do here, and this is why I need to know all these factors. And one thing that's really important is to have an idea when you, like right here, when have you dropped that gold concentration down to where you're ready to stop the resin in pulp, separate your resin, and start stripping it. And that's where I came out with that copper cementation test for gold concentration in solution. And it seems to be reasonably sensitive in terms of it acts at pretty low concentrations. And the spot test was just, every indication I have is there's some serious interferences with it, with this stuff down south. So since I don't trust it, I look for something else, and that copper cementation test seemed to work pretty good. It looks like you can get a criterion that will work reasonably well. I did a test, and it was a resin and pulp barren. I had some stuff that I was testing the dissolution, and then when it was all over, I got my samples back and everything. I put resin in there theoretically to get to this 1%. Did the bottle roll for 24 hours, I think, and took a solution sample to send to the lab, separated the gold, assayed it, came out in the right ballpark, a little bit less than I expect. And when I tested that solution by putting the copper wire in it, it was giving me a result. So I'm thinking that this didn't quite work. I may have to go to something like 7.6, something like that percent. I don't know. I have to balance out the cost of the resin, the amount of attrition, cost of stripping, and the speed of recovery. There's lots of ways we can play with lots of different things. I think we're going to work right off the bat. How well we're going to work, hard to tell. If I get 60 to 70% totally recovered in the first trials, and can work my way from there, I'll be reasonably happy. Okay, I'd like to get 80 to 90%, but I'm not super confident right now because these parameters are a little bit hazy at the moment. Okay, and we'll see what these other samples come in. Right now, basically, all this data has been gathered with essentially one sample, i.e., 40 pounds of the same stuff. But I've been doing 100-gram tests here now because I was running low, and I don't know how much hydrogen peroxide do we need. That's going to vary depending upon the particular sulfide. As the ore itself that's being processed varies, the amount of reactive minerals is going to vary. Therefore, the amount of hydrogen peroxide you need to add in is going to vary. One nice thing with hydrogen peroxide, they make test strips. It's relatively easy to test how much hydrogen peroxide is in solution. And one of the tests I was running over here, I added modest amounts of hydrogen peroxide until after a couple hours there was still a decent amount of hydrogen peroxide left. I consider that okay. It's reacting to completion with an excess of hydrogen peroxide. So, as far as I'm concerned, we're probably in the right range for that material. This is not going to be that simple in real life. Depending on how much hydrogen peroxide it takes and how much it costs, we'll go from there. If it's really cheap, then we'll go ahead and just use an excess and then kill it with lime later on. Down there, they can get 50% hydrogen peroxide readily, and they can get it diluted to whatever they want from that concentration. I'm thinking of running 20% concentration for safety reasons. Okay? The people that are down there are not highly experienced handling hazardous chemicals, this and that and the other. Once you get over 25%, I guess you can actually inadvertently make explosive compounds from organics that may be contaminating things, stuff like this. So at 20%, I think I've got about the highest concentration I can get with modest safety issue. Okay. After that, they start escalating a bit. And the hydrogen peroxide I'm using is only 3%. So what is that? About 7. Yeah, 7 times as concentrated. So I could take some of this old bleach solution from after the resin and pulp and everything, use it to wet the ore, add 20% hydrogen peroxide to the point where I can get the reaction I need, run it, throw in the lime, separate it from the balls, whether bring the balls out of here or take the slurry and put it into a cement mixer. 48 hours of bleach. Presumably, when I was doing bottle rolls, 24 hours versus extended leach, there was about a 20% difference in recovery. That 20% is worth just running a stirring device longer. Pretty cheaper. Cement mixer will be a lot cheaper than 20% losses on a good concept. In the resin and pulp, we may do an intermittent agitation bit to that to minimize attrition. Again, we will see when we get there as to how much attrition there is. But that's what's going on right now. And titrating the Eco Goldex can be a bit of a pain because the solution that you're generating tends to be yellow and the indicator is yellow. 12%. Okay. 12% Home Depot. Write that down because I need to get a better. Oh, come on. You're right. That's in the household cleaning section. Because, yeah, that would help me out with some of these tests, definitely better than the 3%. Also, it's annoying to try and get safety instructions on various concentrations because I'll say, yeah, it can kill you, so don't do blah, blah. And it's like, okay, could you tell me how fast it'll kill me? Okay, thank you, Michael. I appreciate the help. I mean, you know, I'm sure 3% hydrogen peroxide can kill you, and it's hard on your eyeballs too. But is it going to just eat its way through your skin in a matter of seconds? I wouldn't wager that 50% wouldn't. That's some pretty strong stuff. I don't know. It would be nice to have some way to say, what's the limitation of skin contact for 50% hydrogen peroxide? Be nice, huh? And of course, the lawyers are going to say 0. And as I say, it just makes it very hard to know how stringent a safety measures to take. For example, I know that battery acid I can get on my skin and it's not going to eat through it super quick. It'll start itching. I will go, wow, it's itching. I'm handling battery acid. Perhaps I ought to wash it thoroughly. No problem. Of course, in your eyeballs, a different story, but that's why you wear glasses. But that's the sort of thing. What kind of danger is incidental contact? Certain chemicals are extraordinarily dangerous. Others are just, yeah, you really don't want to take a bath in this stuff. But it was frustrating. That's why I settled on the 20%. But 12% will get me pretty close. And that will be good. It'll certainly be easy to adjust as if I was diluting 20% to 12. Wouldn't be a problem. We shall see. But thank you very much. So that's basically what's going on. With respect to Eva, the treatment is beginning to have significant adverse symptoms. She's doing okay right now. She's still eating, but not. She's had to go to pulverized food now, and she's showing a lot more fatigue. She has certain things that are uncomfortable. That's to be expected. As a matter of fact, it seems like she's symptoms are a little bit less than average at this point in time. Not nothing or anything, but it's not too bad. But she's got another. Is this the 4th week of radiation, little one? I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. If you slightly past the halfway point, and then that'll stop doing damage. She's got, after that stuff, a couple more infusions of the immunotherapy, I guess they call it. It's not traditional chemotherapy, which is where you use toxin, but it's designed to try and sensitize the immune system a bit and get it to go after stuff. Unfortunately, the cancer cells also have some similarity to other of her cells, so it tends to create at least a little bit of a temporary autoimmune reaction. How temporary and how severe varies from patient to patient. They can't say with certainty, although basically what they've seen here, primarily a rash. Okay. But that's not going to be fun either. But that's how Eva's progress is going. Mentally, she's still hanging tough. Mentally, I'm still doing okay. Although the other day, there was something that kind of annoyed me, and my reaction was significantly elevated. So I can tell I've got some stuff that I'm successfully suppressing, but it's not gone. I'm just ignoring it. Yeah, I agree with Aqua Regia. The other thing you can do, Michael, with the Aqua Regia chemistry is you can use a dilute Aqua Regia and it'll work pretty good. I was using, I think it was 10% Aqua Regia, but I'm not sure. It was decades ago. And I dissolved a 1 gram ingot of pure gold in less than 15 minutes. So it's plenty reactive. And you can make things a lot better by just diluting it some. I agree, Honey Bunny. Um, one of the difficulties is when you get someone like our gentleman down in Central America, they have no way of telling which information is reasonably accurate, which is really accurate, and which is wildly inaccurate. It's impossible for a novice to gauge that reliably. And so that creates the potential for serious issues. But yeah, it's one of those things. There's a lot of stuff I do that I'm not very certain of. I try and make it clear that I'm uncertain when I am. you know, I hope I do a good job on that. But I mean, there's times where I'm pretty confident and things work out fine. Other times I'm pretty confident and it's like, that didn't work out exactly like I thought it would. So yeah, YouTube is pretty problematic if you're trying to get uh, important information. Kind of hard to tell. Uh, Anything else for this? Not that much. Again, I'm kind of restricted until I get better samples here, higher grade samples. It's going to be hard to do a lot of types of tests with, but see how it goes. Plus, we're going to have Christmas getting in the middle of everything. Well, another thing is some stuff is technically difficult to tell. For example, right now there's videos out there saying that the silver market has had enormous amounts of silver sold that doesn't exist. You buy a certificate, etc. To say it's fractional reserve type banking is a bit of an understatement. So Eva's opinion, who has studied it much better than me, is that it could go asymptotic because there's a lot more paper silver out there than there is physical silver. In her opinion, it's in excess of 200 to 1, paper to physical. And if the price starts going up rapidly where people want to buy and nobody wants to sell, this can create a really interesting situation. How it would all shake out, it would depend on a lot of factors, but the upshot would be a dramatic rise in silver price. Um, I'm of the opinion that it's probably going to keep going up, and so we're perfectly happy to buy a little bit of silver, even though the price is twice what it was a year ago. But we've never been disappointed in our precious metals purchases over the long term. And as such, if you buy silver, you're buying something that you can readily convert back into cash if you need cash. Now you're going to be taking the arbitrage loss there. Paid for it at above melt, you're going to sell it for below melt in general. Yeah. And so it's one of those things where as long as you don't, buy really high or a really high premium, in the relatively near future, you wind up at least being able to break even. Hello, Asakura. How's it going? Well, if literally there's not enough silver to buy to do that, I think the COMEX, for example, has a thing where they can declare force majeure and just give you money. And but we might get into that kind of a situation, especially as there's just a bunch of stuff going on right now that's just really unpredictable. So it's really hard to tell. You know, I I don't feel confident at all predicting almost anything about the future at this point, except continued uncertainty, and it's either going to stay uncertain for a while and start getting better, or stay uncertain for a while and start getting worse, or it's going to very rapidly get worse and be so much worse that uncertainty kind of loses meaning, you know? So, as I say, it just, to me, seems like precious metals right now are a good solid buy and might work out pretty well. Huh, that could be, Michael. In Montana, there's no sales tax that I know of. Well, I went. We we've done a couple of things recently too, where we've actually paid in silver. Okay, because it was an expense that really didn't have the cash for, and we were able to negotiate a price without a problem at all. Again, it's because let's suppose you have someone who likes silver. say the current price was $50 an ounce. Well, if they wanted to buy silver, they're going to be paying 52, 55, something like that. On the other hand, if we say, look, we'll pay you, a spot price in silver, they're like, okay, I get it cheaper that way. So far, we've done true transactions like that, and they both worked out just fine. So that's good as far as I'm concerned. But it's not Doré bars. It's got to be something that, looking at it, you can say, yeah, that's going to be silver, like a sovereign coinage or something like that. Exactly, honey bunny. That does get a little bit more complicated. um, so that's about it. If anyone has any questions, subjects they want to bring up, feel free to do so. It's been kind of a slow week. Without more samples, there's only so much I can do of testing, but they seem to be working out okay in the long run. I think we're getting pretty close to actual uh, testing down there where they're actually testing. One thing I asked them to do is get some sulfides you run through this ball mill to me. Just with water, but run it, settle it, bring me some so I can see what the particle sizes are and such. I can get some kind of reaction tests and things like that. See what the speed of, see how it affects these things, because that's definitely going to, reduce the size dramatically. So we shall see. But I'm expecting to go from 100 mesh minus to maybe 200 or 300 mesh minus. Well, we're doing the best we can, Michael. I've still got this shortness of breath thing that we can't figure out. The doctors are trying to figure it out. My lungs seem to be good. I'm wondering if it isn't this little uh, thing in my spine that's a little misaligned. It's been there for a long, long time, but I'm wondering if it's like pressing on a nerve or whatever. And I haven't really tried exerting myself that much. But like if I'm just slumping here like this and starting to go to sleep, I'll start going, it's like my breathing slows down or reduces in uh, intensity to the point where I get, low on oxygen. Actually, it's more builds up the carbon dioxide in the blood. But it's really disconcerting, and I haven't had a chance to really work too much. I suppose I could go out and just go walking and just kind of push it a bit and see whether my actual aerobic capacity has been substantially affected, or if it's just in certain conditions my chest isn't really working the way it's supposed to. But as of now, they haven't found anything wrong with the lungs that they can ascertain. We shall see. I'm also having a bit of an issue with um, uh, inflammation. Like right now, these knuckles right here are a little sore. They didn't used to be. 2 weeks ago, that would not be there. So my suspicion is I've got some kind of an inflammatory process going on for some reason. What? I don't know why. I don't know what to do about it. But I've got some muscle aches, joint pains, things like that. We got lots of time to get it straightened around, and I'm not ignoring it. I went to the doctor last week. They took blood samples. They're going to run a whole series of tests for inflammatory markers and see what the deal is. I really need to try and get this Hey Lars, how's it going? I really need to try and get this shortness of breath dealt with because that's really going to affect things when things get busy again. So say we shall see. But uh, it's just this, that, and the other. How it goes. Um, with Eva being in the condition she is, for about 2 months, I won't be doing a whole lot except taking care of her anyway. So I'm gonna do what I can to figure out what my issues are and get them rectified by then, and then start really getting back up to speed. Um, by that time, I know Lauren's got a bunch of stuff he needs to get done, so I'll have something to keep busy. That's for sure. But I also want to do the other leaching solution stuff again. In that case, like that, to a great extent, it's like bottle rolls. It just doesn't take a whole lot of my hours. It just takes a lot of clock hours. So that's uh that's the dealio. Uh, how's Los Angeles doing, Lars? Is it continuing to fall apart, or is it pretty much staying the same? Any intel from the front lines you can give us? The visible situation here is basically the same. Well, except for the down trees. You must have hit your head pretty hard, Lars. What happened? Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard about it, but we got some pretty good winds last week. What was that? Wednesday last week? It was Wednesday of last week. Yeah, the highest wind speeds measured in the Helena Valley was 90 miles an hour. We had quite a few trees and a few power lines come down. Uh, we didn't have any problems here, but Lauren's power went out for a day and a quarter, something like that. Uh, they actually declared a civil emergency, not just a high wind warning, but an actual civil emergency. I've always wondered why semi truck drivers get out on the roads when there's a high wind warning. I would think it's like, no, just go to a truck stop, park that baby, and get a nap. Well, generally they do, Lars. I I'm surprised you decided to try that contest, especially if it was the Vice. I came up with a saying back when it's been not about like 1980, before 1980, uh, 78. In the contest between cold steel and warm flesh, cold steel wins every damn time. Wow, that sucks, honey bunny. Don't you do that. Ugh. It's weird how sometimes in life something absolutely horrendous happens that you think would have been fatal 6 times over, and yet people walk away from it. And then other times it's the simplest little shit and they wind up dying. You know, it's so bizarre. I can see why people believe in fate, you know? Yeah, keep it up, honey, but don't test it any more than you have to, okay? If nothing else, it tends to be uncomfortable. But yeah. Uh so hi Jeff. Yeah, Jeff, but high wind is not just tough conditions. It's something that you can't control, you know? That's the problem with wind. I mean, if it's like snow or rain, stuff like that, um, you're looking, you're seeing the wind, it's invisible. And once it hits you, you're pretty much screwed. You know, it's 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 not an extremely limited area of danger that you can evaluate as you get into it or go through it. It's a whole zone, tens of miles or something, where it's like at any time it just randomly get non-drivable, you know. And yeah, that I can see. I mean, I've pushed through stuff I probably shouldn't have too. But yeah, sort of thing generally that I can control theoretically. Well, let's see. Several inches of rain with winds up to 55. Are they going to shut your power off, Lars? Or are they going to see if they can light things up again? I think snow looks really pretty on mountains and on trees and stuff too. I think it looks beautiful. It's less than ideal to drive in, and it's not a whole lot of fun to walk through. Yeah, it's but I do like how it looks. I think it makes things look beautiful. But says the desert rat. Oh, oh. Anyhow, not sure what the there's it's warm. I don't know where you guys are at, but I mean I think it's about 40 degrees, 45 degrees here right now, something like that. Hello, Jean-Francois. Merry Christmas to you. But today, Eva had to do something horrendous. She had to get up at like 6:15 in the morning. Not not pleasant. They needed her there at 7 o'clock in the morning for the blood tests, etc. We were there at the hospital till 11 o'clock getting stuff done. While we were there, they decided that they could move up her radiation treatment from 1 o'clock to whenever she needed. So I had to drive home and get her Xanax, I believe it is. Uh, the sensation she gets when they're irradiating her brain can be extremely unpleasant. The Xanax just kind of keeps her from having a real bad panic attack. Okay, feels like she's choking. But anyhow, I had to drive home to get the Xanax because expecting that. And it had just started snowing for a little bit, got about that much on the road, about a quarter inch. Then it started raining a little bit. And so I had to be really careful. And so that it was a little slippery at times, but not too bad. But yeah, it's not a horrible thing. Oh. What's it? What's the winter been like up there, Jean-Francois? Is it normal or warmer or colder or what? Well, that could be a little uncomfortable being your roommate, honey bunny. Uh, Go to sleep in your safe room with bulletproof walls. But yeah, it's been unusually warm here this summer. I mean, this winter. We'll see what happens. It usually doesn't get really cold until mid-January. Okay, so you've been cold where you're at. Interesting. Okay. So we've been unusually warm here. Must be the way the jet stream set up. Uh, well, it'd be nice if they just became a free republic, honey bunny. How badly did they go off the road, Jeff? Anyone hurt? Yeah, that's still a little bit. That's not that unpleasant for this time of year, is it, Jean Francois? I mean, pretty soon we're going to be getting below that if it's anywhere near normal. Typically, mid-January it drops to minus 25 or something Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is centigrade. Uh, so that's what we're anticipating, and that's only a couple weeks from now at this point, 2 or 3 weeks. So we shall see. Yeah, it has been unusually warm. Ooh. Anyhow, for all those who arrived late, still doing work for figure out how to do the uh, sulfide concentrates down there in Nicaragua. Uh, Copper wire cementation tests seem to be pretty good at detecting gold at relatively low concentration. Resin, we load the max water more than about 1%. It really slows down the absorption time here. And the little mini ball mill they got down in Nicaragua is ideal for our needs. So, yeah, I think minus 40 equals minus 40 or something like that. I forget. Yeah, didn't really have very good ice out here last year. Had enough to get quads on for a few weeks. It wasn't really that good solid ice last year here either. Oh, oh, well, I was at the hospital today. I was reading a Montana Outdoors magazine 2021, and somebody caught a new state record brown trout at the time. It was 32 pounds, 4 ounces, and they caught it on 4-pound test line. That must have been a long flight. I mean, if it was dead, it would take a while to pull in on 4-pound test line. That was a gigantic thing. Someone like Jean-Francois knows what a 32-pound lake trout looks like. uh, okay. Anything else? Eva continues to get more symptoms at this point, which is totally to be expected. She's hanging in there. Mentally, she's pretty tough, and everything is going. Hey, Richard, what's up? How's things going over in the much more balmy land of the Philippines? uh, uh, how's the family doing over there, Richard? Jean-Francois? Jean-Francois is here, honey bunny. I don't know what other John you might be talking about. Uh, I liked your little bar on the beach thing. How's the fishing off of that beach? There there any decent fishing in it? One thing that has come in handy with these new drones is you can really get your bait out there. Good, Richard. Yeah, nowadays you don't have to be able to cast a long ways if you got a drone. That's kind of cool. Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering. I haven't seen him, honey bunny. Tuna off the beach? Sweetness. What size? Like yellowfin or bonita or what? I wouldn't think it'd be bluefin. That's too warm of water for bluefin. But for anyone who hasn't fished salt water, tuna have a power to weight ratio that puts any bass to shame. Uh, I tell you what, it's just amazing what those pelagic fish can do. Take care, Richard. Yeah, small yellowfin. Those are good eating. Yep. Uh, oh, kind of. Yeah, correct, honey bunny. Little schooly yellowfin can go down to like 10 pounds. I've had a 13-pound yellowfin break a 5/0 ocean hook though. I mean, they're amazingly powerful. Well, I don't think I can come. If there's anything else to talk about here. That'd be fun to give it a shot sometime, Richard. Maybe we can make that happen. Oh, right now, I just gotta get Eva all fixed up, get my health back online, and then we can get out and get doing more stuff. Could be a busy summer here. Got a lot of stuff to do. Well, again, I think we basically talked everything out at the moment, unless anyone has a subject they want to bring up. Nice seeing you again, Richard. Glad to hear the family's doing fine. Well, the problem with big fish is it takes a long time to catch them, honey bunny. I saw a guy one time hooked a 140-pound bluefin. No, it was yellowfin. 140-pound yellowfin. It was bluefin. It's an oddball. 140-pound tuna on 40-pound test line. Took him 4 hours to get it to the boat. You take care, Richard. Be safe. Okay? I know we are, Richard. I say, hopefully we'll make it sometime. Whatever. Topic silver spike. Good. I like that idea, Jean-Francois. It's Eva's opinion that the paper silver vastly outnumbers the physical silver, and that we're getting into a situation where we can get a real nice little short squeeze here, and it could go ballistic. What's your opinion on that, Jean-Francois? And what did they say, Jean-Francois? I heard somebody speculate that if the supply gets too tight, that Elon might go out there and just buy some silver mines to take care of his need. Because, he's got a bunch of electric thingies, you know. Okay, that sounds perfectly good, but what happens with that huge squeeze on paper silver? I mean, there's one guy was speculating yesterday that the people who need industrial silver may very well try and completely eliminate the middlemen because the middlemen cause a problem. It's all the speculation and trading and stuff as opposed to, I just need some silver, you know? I don't know. That Starship seems to be a real product, honey bunny. I'm not so sure I trust this Starlink to be a good idea in the long run, but we shall see. I heard the uh, Tesla robo taxis in, I think it was Austin, but anyhow, down in Texas, are having 12 times the accident rate of human drivers. Not surprising. I mean, how do you train a computer to deal with anything that could possibly happen? I would not be surprised if you aren't correct on that, but I wonder how that's going to shake out. In what way, honey bunny? Since it does seem to get a lot of weight up in space. He hasn't got the landing of the Starship down, but yeah. Oh, you mean to orbit? Yeah. Had about something less than that with Falcon 9 when they first started. I know that they've come up with a new version of Starship that has a lot of modifications. I don't know how good it is. Yeah, the regulations cause a real problem. I know the Trump administration is. Yes, I agree. Falcon Heavy is highly reliable, but it wasn't at first. Had like 6 or 7 straight failures. Say Starship, yeah, it's had failures, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so according to Jean-Francois Little One, Kitco does not see a physical shortage in the industrial side at the moment. That does not count the speculating side. It'll be interesting to see, Honey Bunny. One thing you can say about SpaceX, though, it's always interesting to watch because you never know what's going to happen. I'd love to see an actual Starship launch in reality. Oh, I'm sure they've had a significant number of failures, especially on the early on, but they're getting pretty routine right now. Yeah, that's my question: is how all this paper silver is going to affect the markets. Is that a YouTube channel? Yeah, that would be cool, Wage Slave. My brother and I almost got to see a Saturn V launch. We were in Florida, summer of '69. We were in Fort Lauderdale several days before a launch, but my mom did not want to go fight the crowds, so no go. So say we shall see what we shall see. But that would have been cool to watch a Saturn V. Oh, it'd have been cool to watch a shuttle launch too. But right now, Starship's the biggest thing going. Okay, I'll try and remember to look that one up, honey bunny. Uh, Be interesting to see how the silver market shakes out this week. Cool, honey bunny. Ah, yeah, that was a problem. Awfully complicated. Falcon 9s are pretty routine nowadays. Starship was what, about 50%? Actual hitting the original launch window. Sad. I grew up with rocket ships and stuff in science fiction. And it's like it'd be nice to see it in real life. We did quite often get to see launches from Vandenberg from Yuma. I mean, you'd see the little point of light with the expanding cloud of gases and stuff. Yeah. Could be honey bunny. Um, I don't trust Elon, but they're still cheaper than the alternative, aren't they? For that kind of a payload, honey bunny? I mean, it never comes in the way you expected it to, but he's a bit of a promoter. Trump's a bit of a promoter too, you know? Okay. Well, there's quite a few other rocket companies working to be his competitors. So we'll see how they all take out. You got Blue Origin, Rocket Lab. I'm sure there's a couple others I don't think of. I'm sure the Europeans are still doing stuff. You got the Chinese, the Indians. You know, there's a lot of competition there. See if anyone dominates or not. Interesting. Wouldn't surprise me if there was a lot of politics involved in a lot of this crap. Seems to get involved in everything else. Copenhagen Orbitals. Who's Copenhagen Orbital? I know who Blue Origin is. I've never heard of Copenhagen Orbital. Is it Danish or what the deal? Heard of Rocket Lab? Hey, nothing else. Can I put a name on? Could be right connections, and also it's a lot of times it's really hard to get. You got to spend a lot of money at first, and that initial capex can kill you if things don't work out smoothly, which they never do. You know. He's kind of a polarizing figure, that's for sure. But I know Eva's very concerned with um, Starlink, and you got Starlink, and you got all these other people planning on putting up big constellations too. How long before we hit a Kessler syndrome? You know, well, where's Copenhagen based out of, Honey Bunny? I mean, I'm not a big fan of electric cars. I think they have inherent flaws, at least with current systems, technology. And even then, if they get all that fixed up, then they still have the problem of how do you charge it? We need nuclear power plants, a lot of them. It looks like they're trying to do that. It's kind of funny. Somebody pointed out, I really don't remember who. Now that all of a sudden they need a whole lot of power for these AI data centers, all of a sudden, let's go nuclear. You know? You know, all of a sudden nuclear power is fine because all the people, all the big tech giants need that power, and those darn renewables can't supply it. Fascinating. Anyway, well, I think I'm going to call it a night. It's been a long day. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning, and I need to get some rest too. I want to thank everyone for showing up, and still got something to do. I got to have two things to do tonight. Yeah, that 12% hydrogen peroxide. That's cool. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. So, that's good. I don't know if the other people are. Is you get too much people trying to operate in too little area and things can get real ugly. I don't know. So anyhow, thank you everybody for showing up and happy prospecting and keep it safe out there.